Hello again, this is Brother Teacher. I want to first begin this video by saying that uh, if I have offended anyone in the martial arts community uh, with a previous video that I'm about to reference, uh, or if I have offended anyone in the general public at all as it relates to the subject matter of Chuck Norris um, not respecting Bruce Lee, I want to apologize to you. I can't do anything other than that but to apologize if I have offended you, legitimately offended you. Now, I would also, with that, like to add some clarity to the video. And I don't plan on doing a subsequent video to this one because I think an apology, once it's already been established, you don't have to keep doing it. You know, there are some people you will never be able to please. I understand that. But with that said, let me go back in time just a moment. Approximately a year ago, I posted a video, and the title of the video was Chuck Norris Never Respected Bruce Lee. There have been many who have supported my particular stance. Understand this first of all, ladies and gentlemen. This is a commentary, nothing more, nothing less. Everyone is entitled to an opinion, a viewpoint, their side of a story. And this is my viewpoint, and I say it based on this. I've said it in time past. I respect Chuck Norris as a martial artist, and I challenge anyone to find any video that I have ever done, and I have many videos. I challenge anyone to find any of my videos that show otherwise. I have never disrespected anyone. I have just basically given some constructive criticism, if you will. Now, the video about Chuck Norris never respecting Bruce Lee is based on this premise. Every time I have noticed that Chuck Norris was interviewed over the years, whether it be David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno, or any other platform or any other person's stage, when he was sitting there, the conversation almost inevitably came up as to how good Bruce Lee was as a fighter when Chuck Norris was one of the guests. I'm speaking of that specifically. And the conversation would always come up, Chuck, did you and Bruce Lee ever mix it up or fight? Chuck, could Bruce Lee beat your behind? Every single time Chuck Norris was asked a question concerning Bruce Lee's ability, Chuck Norris always switched the script or changed the subject and spoke about him being the heavyweight champion of the world in karate. He always spoke of himself as opposed to answering the question directly. He had never answered the question directly in any video, in any interview that he was asked if Bruce Lee taught you or if you could beat Bruce Lee. Not that that really mattered, but my point is he never answered the question. He always changed the subject to him being the world champion, and that he taught Bruce Lee in another interview high kicks because Bruce Lee was kicking below the waist and so forth, which that is not true at all. As a matter of fact, Chuck Norris, as with many, was not on the level of Bruce Lee, skill for skill. Chuck Norris was nowhere near Bruce Lee's skill level at all. Let's make that point. And if you don't believe it, do your own due diligence and do the research. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm sorry, but it's the truth anyhow, as they say. Now, again, Chuck Norris is a very, very good martial artist. I respect him for his martial arts ability and for what he has accomplished, not only in the martial arts, but in cinema, in films. He didn't have a whole lot of real successful movies in the martial arts side of things. Walker, Texas Ranger was a very great show for him, and he had a couple of other films to his claim to fame that were good as well. I'm not refuting any of that. My point still remains the same. Every time that Chuck Norris was asked about Bruce Lee's skill versus his own, or as compared to his own, Chuck's that is, Chuck would avoid the question. So that is where I come up with the summation that he never respected Bruce Lee. So Bruce Lee was responsible for Chuck Norris's fame that he has today. Now, yes, he may have appeared in a movie before he knew Bruce Lee, but it was not until he met Bruce Lee, like many other martial artists and many other actors and stuntmen, it was not until they met Bruce Lee and was hired by Bruce Lee in Bruce Lee's movies that they were catapulted to the success that they share worldwide today. Now, are you going to refute that too? Are you going to say that Chuck Norris, if it were not for Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris would still be on the celebrity status that he is today if it were not for Bruce Lee hiring him for Return of the Dragon, for example? That would not be true. And if you're honest and objective, you would know that that would not be true. Chuck Norris got his stardom from Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was the impetus. He was the catalyst that caused Chuck Norris to be what Chuck Norris is today, as Jim Kelly, as many others to follow. Dan Inosanto is another one. Dan would have not shared the celebrity today that he has if it were not for Bruce Lee. And if he was honest, he would tell you the same thing. Plain and simple. So back to Chuck Norris not respecting Bruce Lee. That was all I based that statement on, was the fact that he never gave Bruce Lee credit. As many, after Bruce Lee passed away, started saying, I could have beat Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee wasn't all that good, and Bruce Lee really was an actor, and Bruce Lee couldn't fight. He never won a championship in a sport karate tournament. All of those people came after Bruce Lee died, and even to this day, there are many people who tout those same beliefs that Bruce Lee was not a fighter. So it's funny, as a lot of people began to age, Chuck Norris being one of them, how they've had subsequent commentaries, subsequent conversations, subsequent videos they're saying, and Joe Louis is another one, God rest his soul. But after Bruce Lee has died and after these guys began to age, they began to start talking positive about Bruce Lee. But in the earlier years, they didn't talk positive about Bruce Lee. They basically was pushing their own agendas. Now when they get older, I think it just seems politically correct to give Bruce Lee the credit that Bruce Lee deserved, even when they were young, back in the days when Bruce Lee was young as well. But they didn't do that then, because right after he died, everybody wanted to take some stock in his name and some stock and say, oh, he wasn't a fighter, I could have beat him. We used to work out together and I used to get some blows in on him and things like that. All of this stuff came after Bruce Lee was gone, after he passed away. And that's disrespectful in and of itself as well. So again, not to be redundant, I have great respect for Chuck Norris as a human being, as a martial artist, but my point still is the same, that he didn't respect Bruce Lee. And one guy responded to my video by saying that Chuck has never said anything negative about Bruce Lee. They were friends. Yes, they were friends on some level. I'm sure many of us have friends on our jobs, but they don't come home and eat with us. They don't go on vacation with us. They don't sit down with the family and have prayer and so forth. So you can have an association with people by virtue of the vocation or the job in which you all work or function in. In that particular case, it may have been acting or martial arts and acting. But that does not necessarily mean that you are the person's, excuse my expression, ace boon coon, as they say, that you're their number one best friend. Chuck Norris was not Bruce Lee's best friend. They may have had an association and an affiliation as it related to martial arts and movies, but that was the end of it. Now, they may have also had a time or period away from the movies, as Chuck has already pointed out. That's fine. But there was nobody as close to Bruce Lee as his family and as his actual students. Plain and simple. Now, you can debate that, toss it around however you would like. I'm going to stand on what I just said. So, I know it's rhetorical. I know it's redundant. I'm going to say it again. I respect Chuck Norris. I respect him as an actor. I respect him as a martial artist. But he never respected Bruce Lee, because to respect Bruce Lee or to respect anyone else means that you are objective and open and honest about an individual, and you don't have an agenda when someone asks you a question about someone because of your ego. And I believe a lot of times people's egos get in the way and they don't want to seem less in the eyes of the person who's interviewing them. And I think that was the case not only with Chuck Norris, but with many other people who Bruce Lee helped to get where they are today in the martial arts world and the movie world as well. And that was it for the most part, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, as I said in the very beginning, if I have offended you. Maybe you didn't watch the video all the way through. Maybe you're just very sensitive about the subject. I apologize that I offended anyone, and I hope that you can forgive me for offending you. But let's understand this again too. The internet, excuse me, especially YouTube, it's a platform. It is a platform for people to give their viewpoints, to do business, to teach various things, do-it-yourself channels and martial arts channels, home economics channels, all types of channels on YouTube. And it's for us to convey messages. It's that simple. It's not heart surgery. It's not rocket science. It's not anything where someone doesn't actually attack you, but you attack that person back as if they attack you or attack your honor. If I'm going to attack you, I'm going to go straight forward and attack you. I'm not going to leave subliminal messages. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. And if I did not do that, then please don't assume that that's what I'm doing. I'm not attacking anyone, and you won't find where I have attacked anyone. All I have done was address a subject matter or an issue with my own viewpoint. Now, you are entitled to your viewpoint in response, but to say that I am less of a man, less of a master or a martial artist because I'm giving a viewpoint, that's the same as saying that you can't have an opinion. I'm speaking to you now. Can you have an opinion? Can you have a viewpoint? Because you are in turn and in kind responding to me with your viewpoint. Do you see it's the same? So if I start the conversation and say, this is my view on this particular subject, and then you come back, retort, and you say, hey, this is my viewpoint. Okay, then we're both even. But when you attack me, you make it something different than your viewpoint. You follow? It's real simple. Okay, that was it, and that was all, and I hope that you accept my apologies, those who I may have offended. And if I didn't offend you, I look forward to putting out some more valuable information and videos in the future. Be blessed, and may Yahweh bless you, and He loves you, and I love you, as I always say.